Welcome back to the Mountain Witch Tarot channel. I am your host, Sarah, and today we are talking about Donald Trump's week ahead. We're doing his weekly forecast. Before we get started, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps my channel out, and it lets me know you enjoy this type of content. So we got a ton of stuff to talk about. I don't want to take up too much time before we get to the cards, but there's a few things I want to mention that are relevant, things that are important right now. So looking back last week at Pam Boண்டி's testimony in front of the House Oversight Committee, we see that her testimony actually did a lot of damage. And we got some great memes out of it, though. I'm a big fan of the Dow is 50,000. But other than memes, we got blatant disrespect. Things are not looking good right now for the Trump administration. It seems like everything they do, it's just like it's all kind of cursed. Everything's falling apart. They're running in circles. They're not making progress. They are not able to successfully evade the Epstein files. Usually for Trump's weekly forecast, we look at like overall stuff and things that we might see come from him throughout the week ahead, or 7 to 14 days roughly. This week, we're going to do it with a focus on the Epstein files because I believe we are at the beginning of the end. I think this is where everything starts to unwind for the administration. I don't think that there's any coming back from this. I have a lot of theories on what I think is going to happen as this all plays out. We'll talk about that in another video. But a couple of things that I feel like are really relevant right now that maybe not a lot of people are talking about. So, first thing on the top of that list is the DOJ is once again saying that they're not going to release any more files. We saw this happen back in December, I think it was. They said, that's it. There's not going to be any more. We complied with the law. We did what we have to do. We're not doing any more. And then all of a sudden we got this weird file drop a few Fridays ago. And all of the Trump administration, the spokespeople, the talking heads, they all rush out to the media with their tail tucked between their legs, and they're all super nervous and on edge and almost like, oh, this was an accident. And remember, I told you that I believe that there, was some sabotage going on behind the scenes for the administration. I do believe that there are some ops hiding among them, my own theory. But, I don't think they anticipated that drop. I really don't. All the signs are there. The cards kind of confirmed that there's a very good chance that they did not endorse that file drop because we've heard this story before. Pam Bondi comes out and says, that's it. We're not talking about this anymore. We're going to move on. Trump says, let's move on. And then all of a sudden some files come out. So that was interesting. Another thing that I think is important to talk about right now is the fact that Bondi lied under oath. Ted Lieu called her out right on the House floor when she basically said that Trump never did anything wrong in his whole life. He's so innocent. He's such a saint. He's never broken a single law. And Ted Lieu's like, are you serious, lady? Like, you could just see it in his face. So that's really fascinating. I'm interested to see how that played out. Interesting to see if Pam Bondi is above the law. She is the law right now, unfortunately, but I don't know. It's crazy. We live in a crazy time. So on top of all of this lying and deception and deceit that's going on, she released a letter to the House Oversight, which basically, was reiterating that that's it. We're not dropping any more files. You got what you asked for. That's enough. That should appease, all you whiny people in the country who just want to talk about nothing but the Epstein files. Because, somehow caring about victims is bad, apparently, according to this administration. They want us to think that they gave us something significant. Now, here's the really important clincher part that I want to point out. They want us to think that they really did us a big favor. They keep using words like transparency. Trump's so transparent. This is the most transparent administration. But there was a British news organization somehow managed to do their own investigation into the amount of files that exist. So far, the United States has got about 300 gigabytes worth of data regarding the Epstein files. This news organization was able to uncover the fact that there is roughly 15 terabytes of data. So if you don't know much about computer stuff, here's a little example. I've got some hard drives, some external hard drives sitting on my desk because I do video content. So I take up a lot of space when it comes to my computer system. My newest hard drive is 4 terabyte. Okay. I've been using it for years. It is filled with all the content I've ever created. I haven't used 3 terabytes of the 4 terabyte drive. So we're talking about almost 15 terabytes of Epstein data total that they know of. That they're saying that that's likely the amount of data that the government has on Epstein. We've only got 300 gigs released so far. And yet Pam Bondi wants to come out on the world stage and say, isn't this good enough? This is enough information for you. You should be able to, you got what you wanted. It's amazing. That to me was a mind-boggling fact. So essentially we've got 2% of the Epstein files. So here's what ultimately I think we should take away from what's going on right now. The administration is terrified. They are backed into a corner. They've lost control of everything. They've lost control of the narrative. Other countries have the files. France is doing an investigation. I've heard some rumors that there's something going on in Germany. I don't know for sure about that, but the investigation in France, I believe, has been confirmed. They can't stop the other countries from divulging this information. I have a theory that I think we're going to have to depend on the other countries to release a great deal of the Epstein files. But, as kind of an insurance policy, it's great that we have other countries taking this seriously, since the United States is so corrupt now with the Trump administration that we can't take it seriously. It's amazing that we have kind of a backup plan, for this to come out. So, don't get disheartened. I think we're probably going to see some turbulence coming up soon. The Trump administration most likely is going to try to run from this. They've done nothing but run from it. He's probably getting more desperate. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see what we get in the tableau for this week. This week for his weekly forecast, we are looking for the answer to 3 main questions. We want to know what comes next for the Epstein files. Like, what are the next steps? Like, how does it continue on? Like, are there any speed bumps, turbulence? Like I said, we want to see if there's any information in the cards about that. Also, we want to know a little bit of insight into Trump's behavior and reaction to all of this, as well as Bondi's reaction and behavior to all of this. Also interested to see how this plays out for Bondi. So we're putting a lot of heavy questions in this week. We'll see what we get. So let's go ahead and move over to the tarot table and do our Lenormand Grand Tableau. So here is our tableau. What comes next for the E-files? Trump's behavior / reaction, Bondi's behavior / reaction. What do we got? Well, of all of the tableaus I've done for Donald Trump, this is the first time, I think, maybe the second at most, but I can't remember a time when he didn't show up in his grand tableau. So that could mean a couple of things. That could mean that it is forever box time. It could mean that he is going to evade this like he's never evaded anything before in his entire life. He's not even here. Pam Bondi, though, she is here. And I believe this is her because we have the dog and we have the son next to her, and she is supremely loyal to him, and the son is making me think of her bad bleach job. So where do we start? Well, we've got the E-files showing up, and the E-files here and Pam are on the same line. So what's behind the E-files, I feel like it is defying these things, and what's in front of it is kind of the message that we're getting loud and clear. So the E-files are evergreen. That's the first thing that came to mind when I was kind of looking through this and just assessing what cards we have, what cards we don't have, and the messages coming through. These files are evergreen. They will remain. I also take this a double meaning even as the health of the files. The health of the files is, there's a pretty good message here. So let's talk about what it's defying. All of these slings and arrows, basically, kind of get like a big slings and arrows energy right here. with the whip and the snake, I'm kind of thinking about, all of the people who are maliciously trying their best. They're pulling out every strategy that they have to keep these things from being illuminated, to keep them out of the public eye. Pam is one of those people, of course, and I think she is looking for every opportunity to try. She's going through everything. She's looking for every possible loophole she can possibly find. I feel like there is desperation here. I feel like with the clouds, the heart, the crossroads, I'm just feeling a big energy of desperation right above her head. In her immediate circle, it's funny, we have like a really interesting, almost facetious little message here, aside from, this particular line, which I feel like is the most important line in the entire tableau. If we look at her immediate cards, we've got her desperation. She's trying really hard, searching for a way, but there is essentially no way. She's failing, she's struggling. She's kind of trapped in between like the mice card for loss and failure and destruction and all of these negative energies. And this is, a highly emotional, very important thing going on here, because we have the heart and the White House. So, again, just to emphasize, absolute distress around her. And then down here beneath her, what's really funny about this is that these two cards tie together in this strip of cards here. So I have to tell you what they both mean at the same time in order for this to make sense. So Pam is standing on messaging, loyalty, and the solution. So she's trying to find the solution to all of this. It's like the burden is 100% on her. We even have the cross card lining up with her, just to verify this burden. But if you look over here, the Epstein files, of course, and this message of them being evergreen and long-standing, and, they're not so easy to just sweep under the rug like other things have been. They are causing deep cuts, deep fissures in the Trump administration. It's costing them financially. It's costing them their stability, their reputation, their messaging, their loyalists. And the only answer here, and this is where I think it gets a little facetious, is to leave, to flee, to go away. Now, at first I got excited too, and I was like, all right, Pam's telling Trump to jump on a boat and get the hell out of the country. I don't think that we're not going to get that lucky, let's be real. What I think she is telling him to do is to leave the spotlight. Get out of the spotlight, take this opportunity to hide from this situation. You need to step away from it. You need to put distance in between yourself and this issue and let us handle it. The less you address it, the less attention is going to be drawn to it in the public eye. Because here's the thing. So if for the typical MAGA voter or the typical Trump supporter, they don't pay attention to the news. They have no idea what's going on. They don't know how anything works in this country. It's like every day is their very first day on this planet. So I think what she's advising him here is stay out of the media with this topic. Avoid this topic like the plague, because your supporters will only hear you. They're not going to pay so much attention to me, Pam Bondi. They're not going to pay so much attention to Pete Hegseth or Kash Patel or, whoever else is in your loyalist circle, your administration. They're going to pay attention to you. So you need to disappear. It's your voice that they hear. Get out of the way. Move away from it. And I think that's where the energy of the ship is coming in. And I feel like this is not so much about the financial aspects of the ship card. It's more about the strategy of the ship card, because it takes some strategy to sail across the sea. So I feel like the answer with the key card, the solution is move away from the situation. They are fully aware of the destruction that this is causing. They are fully aware of what it's costing them overall, because, you know, these 3 cards here, double meaning. This is not just a financial drain. This is a resource drain in general. And I have a giant plane going over. Let's give that just a second to pass. Now here's some more confirmation, okay? Up here with these 3 cards, I feel like these 3 cards attached to the White House are pretty important. This card shows up a lot for Trump with done deals and things that he's doing behind the scenes. And I feel like there is an incoming message of, we're putting this to bed. We're going to stop talking about this. We're going to move you, Donald Trump, away from this situation and get you out of the spotlight when it comes to mention of the Epstein files. Because we don't want to draw attention to this issue. And as long as you're not speaking on it, they won't hear it. So I feel like they've already got this strategy coming from the White House. Put an end to, you know, the attention that you're drawing to it. Also feel like this is a reference to the government drawing attention, which is interesting. It's attached to these messages here. So if we're looking at the top line, I feel like we've got, you know, a sense of the government spreading some type of positive messaging, okay? Feel like there is the government spreading some type of positive messaging. I think that they are going to use a strategy where they just steamroll. They're going to steamroll the Epstein files conversation, and they're going to start talking about the things that they want to talk about. They're going to start putting a positive spin on whatever baloney, malarkey that they're doing. And they're going to try to focus or refocus the public's attention on that. Now, we do have the political violence card here. I think that this is coming up together to kind of verify that this spreading this new beautiful message will most likely distract from the fighting and the contentions around Donald Trump's integrity. They are tired of the gossip and the talk, and this is kind of, you know, wrapping up here. They want to stop the talk. They have to stop it because it's become such a big burden. So skipping over to this side of the spread here, we see some more validation, really, that this is kind of the ultimate theme of the cards is no matter which direction we go, if we do diagonals, we do knotting, everything's kind of wound together. So let's recap. The plan is we get Donald Trump out of the spotlight. We distance him from this conversation. We start talking about other things. We go really hard on this campaign of changing the subject. We start talking about things that will be really distracting to the American people. Now, I get the feeling from the cards that these are going to be things that they think will appeal to Americans. In the past, I've gotten very clear messages that Trump was about to throw a tantrum. You all remember that infamous reading where I was like, uh-oh, he's going to start a war. That very same night, he bombed another country. We woke up to all sorts of crazy stuff going on in the news the next morning on Saturday. That's not coming through as much here. I feel like, I wonder if maybe they don't have any sort of terrifying distraction, so they're going to try to use a positive distraction. This is just a theory here because I'm seeing a lot of positive cards scattered throughout, and it's kind of giving me the feeling that they might try a little bit of a different strategy here. Now, this could be short-lived. I don't really see this as being, you know, obviously they're not doing anything good for the American people. So it's going to be hard for them to come up with ways to put a positive spin on anything. But what's interesting with this is if we look in every direction from certain cards, from pivotal moment cards, like we'll say the ship card, because that would be Donald Trump most likely moving away from the situation. We see that there is a big energy of this heaviness, this responsibility that is eating away at him. It's getting to the point like, I've been telling you this for a while. He doesn't have any place to run to. He really is a trapped rat. He really truly is. He's trapped in a corner with this. There's really no way out. And then if we look here, there's an opportunity to confuse the public, or to create some type of fog cloud so that people can't see through and see what's really happening. So create a diversion here. And then with this, if we read from this direction, again, it is to change the direction of the messaging. So this theme is prominent throughout the tableau. That's most likely what we're going to see. Now, as for the cards, they are tucked safely over in the corner with the tree card here. And I just feel like this is more of a positive message for the files than anything, because they are immune to all of this energy. They are immune to this entire strategy. And if we're just reading from their perspective, they're just going to keep spreading. So if we're reading from the perspective of the e-files here, we've got incoming messages spreading. We've got abundance. We've got the tree for health, for evergreen, for growing, for, long-standing, for cutting through, whatever is going on in the media. They are hard-hitting. They are dangerous, okay? So all of the things clustered around the e-files here show us that they prevail, which is what I've always told you. This is the one thing that's got the momentum and the weight behind it to take this administration down and bring them to justice, because there are so many people involved in this in Trump's cabinet. There are people, like Thomas Massey said, it's everybody. There's so many people mixed up in this. This is a one thing that really has the power to make a big change. And it's so deeply rooted in society, It goes so deep and it's global. And the thing is that no matter, and I think this is probably something that they're also really afraid of, and likely where we're getting some of the messaging, and we'll take a look at the messaging cards here in a second to confirm, but I have this theory that we may get to a point where they do successfully shut this conversation down in the United States, and then everybody's left standing like, hey, wait a second, we didn't get a resolution to this. Nobody faced accountability for this. And for a moment, to the people who are not paying attention so much to, like the writing on the wall or reading between the lines, it may look as if this is over. We may get to that point. But because there are other countries involved in this, because other countries are investigating this, people in other countries are facing real accountability for this. They can't stop that. So even if they manage to shut the conversation down here in the United States, it's just going to keep coming. It's going to come from every direction. So, they have no control over other countries' investigations and stuff like that. They can't interfere with that. They can't shut that down. And what they can do is try to limit what the Americans hear or see or find out from news sources overseas. Now that's another topic for another day. We don't have an answer for that here because we didn't ask that question. But it is concerning, and it is an important question to ask. But here we have just a chaotic scene of everything going wrong for them. They're desperate. They're trying really hard. Nothing seems to work. These files are impervious to every attempt that they make. So let's take a look at some of the messaging cards. So we'll pick the letter because that is, about messaging and communication and documentation. So the letter card is attached to the sun card, which is, gives it power, gives it illumination, puts it into the spotlight. It's also attached to the administration. So again, more validation that the administration is doing their best to control the messaging here. But I think also, with just reading from the perspective of the letter card and not looking at this as Trump's loyalist, which is what we normally reassign this card to, if we just look at it as the dog, I feel like this is, the dog fetching the newspaper kind of energy. You know what I mean? No matter what happens, this is going to keep coming back like a boomerang. The dog's going to keep bringing the newspaper, figuratively speaking. Here we have messaging about contracts and reputation. The book card for secrets and things yet to be revealed, things locked up, and it's facing these three cards, which is the candle card, the ring card, and the sickbed card. Now, I think that there is, these two cards make me think of Epstein's ring, not his jewelry ring. The bottom line makes me think of a limited time. There is a somehow predetermined amount of time before everything changes. Like the candle is burning up. It's a very abstract feeling, but I get the feeling of lighting a candle and it can only burn for so long. And I feel like it almost like an hourglass. It's more of that vibe that I'm getting from these two cards together. Not so much even a candle burning up, but an hourglass running out. That's a more apt description of the feeling of these four cards together, is that it's just a matter of time until everything is out. So, and I think that they know this. I think that they are fully aware of this. The sickness, this illness, this depravity, eventually the opportunity, if you knot the cards, opportunity to be revealed, it will come out. And then if we knot the ring, we get the snake and Pam Bondi and or the administration. It's just a matter of time until we get full exposure of everything. So there's a lot of e-files documentation out there. We've only got the very smallest tip of the iceberg. They can't stop it from coming out overseas. They know that. They're on borrowed time. Again, just feeling like borrowed time down here. The hourglass is running out. Now, I said we would look at the messaging cards, and we did look at the envelope card. Let's take a look at the birds card, because that can be a card for messaging and gossip and talk and voices spreading and chatter and things like that. It's a small message. It's kind of a low energy message, but I think it is, once again, confirmation that the voices around this, the chatter around this, is having a profound impact. So we've got the bear, the crossroads, the clouds, the heart, and the lily. And I just feel like this cluster of cards together is reflective of how so many people are talking about this. Information is spreading about this. It's everywhere on the internet. It's the hottest topic on the internet, which is excellent. We want people talking about the files. All of these conversations being had are very important. They are making the situation bigger. It's becoming more of a burden for the administration. It's flooding every pocket of society, which is contributing to the diminishing of this administration. It's all right here, and no matter which direction we look, we do diagonals. We got confirmation of this, here, like it's everywhere. And usually when things line up like that in a tableau, it's pretty solid. Things are not so much in flux anymore. So I think the message coming through here is very solid and stable. It's good news for society and for the survivors. Eventually justice will come. Eventually this situation will play out the way that it's supposed to. But it's just going to take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. And as deep as the roots are to the Epstein files, this whole house of cards is not going to collapse all at once. It's going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of work. But there we go. That's the tableau. Alrighty folks, that will do it for this one. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts and opinions on this reading. I'll be back very soon with another video, so until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you later.